So obviously in the Tournament of Power, things went pretty well for Universe 7, although it was a bit close. The team was very powerful though, and a lot of the team members did have some great use. But even so, the team could have been better. I mean, even just look at the series itself. They were only barely able to get 10 members. And even then, the team wasn't all ideal. They had to rely on Frieza, who is very powerful, but also very untrustworthy. And although the humans are strong in their own right, they were pretty far behind in comparison to some other fighters from Universe 7. No disrespect to them though. So that got me thinking, what's the strongest possible team Universe 7 could have gotten? And that's what I'm here to discuss today. We'll be looking at what I like to call a Universe 7 Dream Team. One that could have potentially made the tournament really easy. And on top of that, there's some certain strategies that could have helped too. And this would create the strongest possible Universe 7 team. Well, at least within reason. For this video, we can set a like goal of 3,500 likes. If we hit that like goal, I'll make a what if about this team too. This will just be discussing how strong it'll be and why I chose it. Alright, let's go over some ground rules first. For one, I want to say they get only one revival. If they were to just revive anybody, well, they could put Frieza, they could put Cell, they could put so many different people on the team from Otherworld. So let's be reasonable and say they're only allowed one revival. Just like with Frieza, they were kind of short on time and couldn't get the Dragon Balls ready, and we'll say Baba's only going to revive one person. Another rule, canon characters only. Otherwise, I could just keep pulling people from Dragon Ball Heroes and they'll have the most broken team in history. Also, no true deities are allowed on the team, pretty much like it was normally. Obviously, if we wanted a really strong team, we'd want to have someone like Beerus, Whis, and Maris on there, but that just wouldn't be allowed. It would basically be cheating at that point, so no one like them. And as the final rule, we'll say they only get to recruit one villain. More than one villain would be too risky, but other than that, they could have anyone they want on the team. We'll be lenient and also say that Whis or the Galactic Patrol can help them find anyone they need, locating strong energies around the universe and finding a good potential candidate. The first few picks for the team are pretty obvious. It's going to be Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan. They're easily accessible, and they're strong in their own right. But I have a plan for Vegeta too, which we'll discuss later on once we talk more about the rest of the team. Another easy pick would be Piccolo, but this time something different will happen. We saw with the Universe 6 Namekians that they all fused together to make a really strong fighter. Actually two in fact. So with Piccolo, we could actually do the same with that too. Again, this is a hypothetical dream team scenario, and this probably wouldn't have happened originally, but it's not even really that unreasonable. If they're fighting for the entire universe's sake, who's to say they couldn't convince the Namekians to all fuse into Piccolo? This could potentially make Piccolo one of the strongest fighters on the team. Especially with how many Namekians are fused within him, he'll be way above where he was normally. Two more people that I feel will be very valuable for the team are Androids 17 and 18. Infinite energy is really useful for a fight like the Tournament of Power. With how long it is, they're going to need as much energy as they can get, and with the androids there, they're not going to get tired at all. So already, that's 6 people, and they're all people that were in the tournament originally, although I do have some tweaks for them, which we'll see later on. I have different uses for them in the strategy for this tournament. Also, we would want to get Majin Buu on this team. I also have a different plan for him, and in this scenario, he doesn't actually fall asleep. He would be probably one of the most valuable people on the team. Not only is he strong, but his abilities are insane, especially for this tournament. He could heal, he could duplicate himself, he has unlimited energy, he can absorb people even, or turn them into candy. And that's probably why he was excluded originally, because he's just so broken in this scenario. But here he's on the team. The next 3 picks are kind of wild cards, but I do have explanations for all of them and uses for them too. Remember, we're going by the rule that Whis or the Galactic Patrol can help find any strong fighters that they need. Of course, there's many strong people with the Galactic Patrol, and they could easily try and get one of those people on, like Moro or anyone from his crew, but that would be way too risky. Again, we want this handicap in place, otherwise it would be a little too crazy. We gotta keep it at least somewhat grounded. One great candidate would be Broly. His energy would be located in the scenario, and it would be pretty easy to convince him to join the team. I mean, it's way better than being on Vampa doing whatever he's doing. And we'll talk more about him with the strategy later on. Another great pick would be Granola. Now, I'm not going to consider him a villain here. He is an antagonist, but he's not a ruthless villain like Frieza, Cell, or whoever. And of course, in this case, it's not like he's going to be manipulated by the Heaters. Even before his wish, he still is pretty powerful regardless. And honestly, he'd be a way better pick than any of the Earthlings. So that still means we could recruit a villain. And we still have a revival too. So we're going to use both of those at once, our free villain slot and a revival slot. And in my eyes, the best pick would be Cell. Think about it. He'd be very easy to convince. Cell loves a good fight, and this is exactly what he'd want. And yeah, Frieza may be stronger, but we have a way to make Cell pretty strong. Not to mention his potential is insane, so he could possibly grow even stronger than what Frieza was at. And with the DNA of Frieza and all the Saiyans, there are some crazy things that he'd probably be able to accomplish within this tournament. So now we have our team members all picked. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Cell, Buu, Android 17, Android 18, Broly, and Granola. It's a pretty powerful team. But some of them are wild cards. How are they going to work on the team? And in some people's cases, how are they actually going to be strong enough to fight, or have the experience to? And there was a really easy solution for that, the Room of Spirit and Time. Originally, Vegeta was the one using this, and since Goku was so busy recruiting everyone and everyone else was training, they were too preoccupied to train there. But here we'll use it to our advantage. So let's be realistic. Let's say they only have about a day to train. By the time the whole group is together, they only have this amount of free time to actually use it. As for Cell, he'd be revived a lot closer to the tournament, so he'd probably lose out in a couple of hours. But everyone else is good to go. And my plan for this involves making the Room of Spirit and Time very cramped. So the Room of Spirit and Time usually only has enough food for 2 people to go in for a year. And of course, they only have enough time for about a year's worth of training, or at least about 8 months or so. But here's the great thing. Not all of the team needs food. For one, there's Piccolo. He never needs to eat. He only needs water to survive. Same goes for the androids. They need to hydrate, but they don't need to eat. So with just them alone, you could put them in the Room of Spirit and Time, and it's essentially like there's 3 free slots. And that 12 months of food for 2 people can be rationed to 8 months of food for 3 people instead. So alongside Piccolo, 17, and 18, we could put 3 more in there. And I feel like the best picks would be Cell, Vegeta, and Broly. And this is the craziest part of the plan that really helps them out. Technically, we could also put Boo in there, since he doesn't need to eat, but he's gonna want to eat, so we're not gonna put him in there. It would have been very helpful to have a healer in there though. But again, let's not get too crazy. And the Room of Spirit and Time is the key to creating the strongest team that they could possibly have. 17 and 18 are going to get incredibly strong having all this training in there, and with infinite energy, as long as they don't get injured, they can keep going however long they want with their training. Piccolo would probably need to get used to his new power with all the Namekians in him, so giving him these few months of training is going to be very useful. For Cell, he kind of needs to catch up with everyone in terms of strength. He's pretty strong as is and has some great potential, but compared to everyone else he's a bit behind. Although with all this training, he could grow really powerful really quickly. I mean, look at how quickly Frieza grew in 4 months. Cell has Frieza's DNA after all, not to mention the DNA of the Saiyans. And even though he doesn't have infinite energy, he has regeneration. Combine Frieza's potential, the potential of the Saiyans, and regeneration, and you've got a pretty insane combo for training. So that leaves 2 more people that are in there, Vegeta and Broly. Now Vegeta did lose a bit of time on Earth by being there and not training. You know, the whole Bulma situation and all. And he was in the Room of Spirit and Time originally, so of course he'd want to go in here. But here's the catch, we'll change his training up a bit. Before the tournament begins, have him do some training with Beerus, and then use this opportunity of the Room of Spirit and Time to actually improve at that training. Give him access to Hakkais, and get him to unlock a brand new power within himself, Ultra Ego. Or at the very least, help him perfect those Hakkais that he had before. As for the thing that prompts this training, well, Beerus sees that Toppo is going to be on the Universe 11 team. He's a candidate for God of Destruction, so Beerus kind of wants to have someone on his team that could use those same powers. Using that as motivation, Vegeta then goes for that training, while Goku uses this time to recruit people and spend more time with Whis training. And as for the final person in the Room of Spirit and Time, it's Broly. The reason he's in here is because while he has great potential, he hasn't really tapped into that yet. Yeah, he's strong as is right now. In base alone, he was able to take on Vegeta in base too. And the more he fights, the stronger he gets, but he needs to get a grasp on his power, as well as a grasp on his anger. Otherwise, that can have some dire consequences during the tournament. He might even attack some of his own teammates. Or even worse, he might not even be able to tap into that power at all. This time in the Room of Spirit and Time will really help him get a control on it, and with all those other strong fighters in there, it'll be easy to keep him in check. It'll be especially great with Vegeta in there, another Saiyan that could potentially help Broly reach Super Saiyan himself. So not only does Broly get stronger, but he gets a better grasp on his power, and possibly even a brand new transformation. If anything, Cell's in more dire training than he is. But he could also unlock a brand new form himself too, or at least some sort of brand new power. At the very least, he could try and use Kaioken for himself. He did say he could use it, and he does have Goku's abilities, so there's no reason for him not to be able to use it. Plus with his regeneration, that'll be very helpful for him to use with Kaioken. It's not going to be a perfect solution, no pun intended, but Kaioken does really help him in terms of strength on top of whatever he'll get in his training. And it will still injure him even with the regeneration and it will be draining, but that's just the lowest option for him. For all we know, this training can unlock a brand new form for him. Maybe some sort of godly power. Maybe he gets something similar to Frieza's golden form, even if it's a different color. But Kaioken's enough even if he doesn't get anything new. Now, with that plan in place and with a team in place, what would be a good strategy for them to operate with? Well, with everyone on their team right now and all the techniques they have a ton of options for what they could do. I doubt people are going to try and follow Gohan's plan of sticking together. Especially now that we don't have the humans on the team, more people are going to want to go by themselves. Their greatest asset is Boo. Not because he's going to be the strongest on the team, although he is one of the strongest. The reason he's important is because of his abilities. Turning people into candy could be very useful, although a bit cheap. He could also rip parts of himself off, placing them around the ring so he stays in. Maybe he could use pieces himself to bind people with, but most importantly, he's a healer. He'll be pretty hard to eliminate out of the ring too. He can keep regenerating and make more copies of himself, and stretch himself out to keep himself in the ring. Cell and Piccolo would want to use this too, By both having Namekian DNA in them, they should take advantage of being able to stretch themselves out like this, making it easier for them to stay in the ring. Outside of that, their main focus is also power. 17 and 18 are going to be a lot stronger after all their training, and with infinite energy, they have no need to worry about stamina. They'll be amazing people to have on the team offensively. As for Granola, we haven't really talked about him much, but he is still strong even before his wish. Obviously, he'd be best at long range fighting. Not that he's bad at close range, but this is just his specialty. The thing is, he's not going to have Oatmeal with him. He'll have to rely on his own knowledge and skills, but that'll still be enough. And even if he isn't incredibly powerful, at least compared to some of the people on his team, him being able to identify vital points in people is going to be very useful. He was able to take down Ultra Instinct Goku with just one hit to a vital point. Theoretically, he could just use that on anyone. So even if he lacks just a little bit in strength, he more than makes up for that with these abilities. For Broly, hopefully his training would have been enough. He's able to fight better and has a better grasp on his power. And with him growing stronger during battle, he's only going to get even better from here on out. Funny enough, Gohan's going to be pretty much the same. There's nothing really we need to change about him. Same goes for Goku. These two were fine as is. And even though they could have benefited from the Room of Spirit in time, other people needed it more than them. Speaking of Goku, even with this different team, he'd still be able to unlock Ultra Instinct if he finds himself in the same situation with Jiren. But there's a big difference here. He has Boo on the team to heal him. Ultra Instinct's going to make him very worn out afterwards, but having Boo there, he's going to get back to full health, and he'll get stronger with his Zenkai. This goes for pretty much anyone on the team that can grow stronger with Zenkais. Gohan, Vegeta, Broly, and even Cell will benefit from this too. And that takes us to Vegeta too. With him training with the Kais beforehand and getting energy of a god of destruction, this could potentially lead to him unlocking Ultra Ego earlier on. I already made a video about this with him unlocking it during the tournament, which I'll link above, but with him having it during this tournament, that'll be incredibly useful, especially with how powerful the team is regardless of his power. Growing stronger as he fights, being able to use Hakais, and having more strength in general, on top of however strong he got just from training in the Room of Spirit and Time alone. All in all, this is going to be a pretty powerful team, and it's going to be hard to defeat them. Now, I know this isn't the strongest possible team that I could create. If I really wanted to go insane, you'd want to grab people from Dragon Ball Heroes, probably get Frieza on the team too, maybe even Moro on there, and stuff like that. But I also wanted to keep a sense of realism in this too, something that could have actually happened. Of course, this still is a crazy situation and it's mostly for fun, but it's not like it's completely out of the question. And with the team as it is, it opens some pretty interesting consequences afterwards. Cell's probably going to stay alive, Broly's not going to be on Vampa, Granola's actually going to know the Saiyans, stuff like that. But outside of all that, this just makes Universe 7 incredibly strong. It's going to be really hard for them to be defeated, if that's even possible. You gotta remember, originally they won, but only with the great teamwork and trust they had. It was still a pretty close call, but with a team so much stronger, this is a guaranteed victory that will prove Universe 7's strength. But now I want to know what you guys think. What do you think about this team? Do you want to see a what if with this scenario? And do you think there would be any better options for the team besides what I listed here? Or any other better strategies for that matter? Leave any of your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, it is a discussion video after all. So let's start discussing. Anyways, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. It lets me know you guys want to see more videos like this, and if we hit that like goal, I can actually make a detailed what if scenario about this, and possibly talk about what happens afterwards. If you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as clicking the bell icon so you're notified about any future uploads on my channel, including more videos like this one. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.